am Dr. Vidya Patil and I will be guiding and assisting you during this course. In today's video, we will be continuing with our previous video. We had already discussed about prefixes. Well, today we will try to find out what are suffixes and how they are used. So let us now begin with today's video. A suffix is nothing but a group of letters which is placed after the root word. This suffix consists of maybe a few letters which will add to the root word to create a new word with a new meaning. Suffixes are commonly used to show which part of speech the word belongs to. For example, when we add ion to the root word act, then we get a new word action, which is a noun form of the word act. So suffixes basically have two main functions. One is they help to form the different part of speech of the word, root word, and they also tell or identify whether a word is singular or plural. For example, let us take the word flavorless. This word flavorless consists of the root word flavor and the suffix less. Less means without. So the word flavorless means having no flavor. So when we add a suffix to the root word, it changes the entire meaning of the word. Let us now have a look at the commonly used suffixes. able, able, is one of the most commonly used suffixes. It means able to or having the quality of. Some of the common examples for this suffix are comfortable, portable. Another commonly used suffix is al, which means related to. Example, annual, comical. Er is a suffix which is usually used to compare. It is a comparative in nature. For example, bigger, stronger. Est is a suffix which is used when we have to show the superlative degree. Example, strongest, tiniest, largest. Ful, this is a suffix which means full of. Beautiful, which means which is full of beauty. Grateful, which means full of gratefulness. Ible, this is a suffix which helps to form an adjective. So when we add the suffix ible to the root word, we usually get the adjective form of that word. Reverse plus ible gives reversible. Terrifying plus ible gives terrible. Ily is the suffix which when added to the root word forms an adverb. Examples are eerily, happily, lazily. Ing is a very commonly used suffix which we add to the root word to denote an action, and generally it is used in the continuous tense. So act plus ing gives us acting. Show plus ing gives us showing. Less is another commonly used suffix which when added to the root word gives or tells us gives a new word with an opposite meaning. So friend plus less, friendless. Tire plus less, tireless. Ly is another suffix which when added to the root word forms an adjective. So clear plus ly is clearly and r plus ly is rly. Ness, N-E-S-S, is another commonly used suffix which means a state or a condition. So kind plus ness gives us kindness, and wild plus ness gives us wilderness. Y is a suffix which means full of. So glory, victory, messy, all these are words which mean full of or which denote a condition and are formed by adding the suffix y. So you have here a list of all the commonly used suffixes, their meanings, and some examples to show how these suffixes help to form new words. Now there are certain rules which you need to follow when you are adding suffixes. One of the first rules which you should know is that when a word ends with a short vowel sound and a single consonant, like for example shop, the word shop ends with a OP. O is the short vowel sound and P is the consonant sound. So when a root word ends with a vowel and a consonant, then after adding the suffix, the last word of the last consonant letter should be doubled when you form the new word. So shop plus ed becomes shopped, where the letter P is repeated twice. Similarly, begin, I-N are the ending letters of the word begin. I is the short vowel sound and N is the final consonant. When we add ing, the suffix to this root word, we get the new word beginning, and the last consonant N is used twice here. Similarly, chat. The word chat ends with A-T. A is the short vowel sound and T is the final consonant. When we add the suffix ER to it, the new word which is formed is chatter, and the final consonant letter T is repeated twice. Second important rule is that whenever a word which ends with a silent E, for example, drive, here the last letter E cannot be heard when we are pronouncing the word drive. So when such a word is added to a suffix, then the new word which is formed should not consist of the letter E. For example, drive plus ing gives driving, and this new word is formed without the letter E. Another example is use. Now, in the word use, which ends with E is completely silent when we pronounce it, and the new word which is formed after adding the suffix is used. So, when we write used, the letter E is absent. Hope. Again, this is a word which ends with the letter E, but E is silent. When we add ing to it, the new word formed is hoping, but the letter E is absent. The next rule is completely reverse to what we saw just now. When a word ends with E, where the E is silent, and the suffix added to it begins with a consonant letter, then the new word which is formed should consist the letter E. So, for example, if we take up the word like, the word like ends with the letter E, but when we pronounce the word like, E is silent. Now, when we add the suffix ly to like, we find that the new word which is formed is likely, and the spelling of the new word consists of E, which is included. Similarly, use. When it is added with the suffix less, the word L begins is a consonant. So when the suffix less is added to use, we get the new word useless, and the word letter E is retained in it. Similarly, hope. When we add FUL, the suffix which begins with a consonant, then the new word formed is hopeful, and this word consists of the letter E. The next rule is that when a word ends with CE or GE, for example, notice, change, advantage, we find that we have to retain the letter E when it is added to a suffix which begins with either A or O. For example, notice. The root word notice, which ends with the letters CE, when added to the suffix able, which begins with A, then we get a new word noticeable. In the new word, the letter or alphabet E is included. Similarly, advantage, which ends with GE, when it is added to the suffix OUS, which begins with a consonant with a vowel O, then we get the new word advantageous. And the letter E is included in the spelling of the new. This is one common mistake which many students make. Please remember that whenever a word ends with Y, then when you add a suffix to it, the letter Y changes to I in the new word. For example, when we take up the word baby, it ends with Y, and when we add the suffix es to it, the new word which is formed is babies. And now the spelling becomes BABIES. So the letter Y changes to I. There is another example, cry, duty, DUTY. When we add the suffix FUL to it, and the new word formed is dutiful, and the letter Y changes to I. But there is an exception to this rule. When we add the suffix ing to such a word, then it continues to remain same. For example, cry, CRY. When we add the suffix ing to it, it becomes crying, and the letter Y is retained. Another common rule is that when you are adding a suffix to a word which ends with Y but is preceded by a vowel. So, for example, boy. The word boy ends with Y, but the letter Y is preceded by a vowel. Then, in such cases, after the suffix is added, the new word which is formed consists of the letter Y. For example, boy, when we add S to it, it becomes boys, and the letter Y is retained. Play, when we add ed to it, it becomes played, and the letter Y is retained. But there are a few exceptions to this rule. You can see on your screen some of these exceptions. For example, day becomes daily, but Y changes to I. Pay becomes paid, but again Y changes to I. So students, please keep these rules in mind whenever you are adding suffixes and forming new words. So students, we have now seen what are prefixes and what are suffixes. To put it very briefly, prefixes are words or are letters or group of letters which are added at the beginning of the root word to give or form a new word. Similarly, suffixes are letters or group of letters which are added at the end of the root word to form a new word. Therefore, when we learn prefixes and suffixes, it helps to improve our vocabulary. We can expand our knowledge of words, and it makes our language more fluent. So students, it is very necessary that we learn how to use prefixes and suffixes and improve our vocabulary. I hope you liked this video.